himself. It's been a couple weeks. They had a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series for us as a show. Selfishly, we don't love because a lot of times, if they're on the road, the team's practicing at the stadium, and we can't have our Lloyd's best friend, Coach Jay Johnson, on the show. But they are not. They are not on the road yet. They're at home, and Coach Jay Johnson joins us again. We appreciate you, Coach. Congratulations on a great year. Y'all just getting off the field?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? Are you just getting off the field? What's this week look like? When are y'all leaving to go to Hoover? I know it's a different format, so I know it's probably prepped a little differently. What's the schedule like this week?
Yeah, we put it in play right after the game on Saturday. We obviously traveled home Saturday night, made the decision to fly home as opposed to go straight to Hoover, which ended up being a great decision that we're not playing until Friday. So
right.
Happy that worked out. Let everybody kind of have a day off yesterday, which was great. Some guys got in and lifted. Today, we kind of used it as almost like a second day off for the position players. They did lift. And then we had small group work hitting. We feel like we're in a good flow offensively with some guys, so we want to keep that going. And then probably the main event of the day is we had some pitchers we needed to get on the mound to face hitters and some hitters that need some at-bats. So we had a good simulated game this afternoon. Some guys threw the ball really well. Some guys took some good swings. And so that was today. Yep. Tomorrow we're going to go at 11 a.m. and we'll have, good lunch here tomorrow, steaks, the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And get some good food in the fellas. And then 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning. And then we'll have some more great food. And then hop on the bus and head over, not be in a hurry, Wednesday afternoon. And then Thursday we'll practice over at Hoover High.
Yeah.
And then tee it up for whoever we have Friday evening. So it's pretty cool. The whole tournament has to wait on the Tigers. Last team to play.
That's it, Coach. Are you the one grilling? You're grilling the steaks, fillets, ribeyes. You have someone else you cater. You have someone catering it, or are you manning the grill?
Get Wanaka on that.
Wanaka. We're going the simple route. We don't need any food poisoning situations going on this time of year, so we're catering them, having them brought in.
Awesome, Coach. Before we get to before we get to Hoover and talk about kind of what to expect and how you're going to approach next weekend, I want to kind of recap. I know you still have a long ways to go in the season. This is kind of the third season of the year, right? Non-conference, conference, and then postseason. Season awards came out. You had a lot of guys represented on the first and second teams. There's arguments, honestly, for everybody to be obviously first team. They can't give it that way. I want just give you an opportunity to kind of, I guess, reflect. I know you don't really sit down and reflect until the season's over with, but Anderson and Ianson and Curiel and all these guys, they've got the flowers that they deserve. And I kind of want to ask you about how awesome it is to see those guys get rewarded for their hard work and their consistency throughout the year.
Yeah, no doubt. And as you've obviously played at the highest level, players are competitive individually as well. And I have no problem with that, to want to be recognized as the best at what you do. And we have the maturity within this team for those guys to do that, compete that way, and do it all within the team concept and place the needs of the team above their own. But yeah, I'm proud of those guys. I hadn't really looked at, what happened. One of the coaches was kind of telling me how it shook out. I wouldn't trade Cade and Anthony for anybody.
Right.
If you point to a reason we can be successful, in postseason baseball, you start there. Is like when we toe up or tee it up against anybody in games 1 and 2, we're matching up with any pitcher in the country type deal. And, then you talk about, I think you mentioned Derek had a great season as a freshman. I saw Kason Evans was on the all freshman team. What a contribution he had. And, it was interesting. We didn't have any hitters on the first team, but I actually thought that was actually kind of reflective of our team.
Correct.
With, I think Jared, Danny, I feel like there was one other one that I'm missing, and there was a second team. Derek at his position. And then, the one I felt like was a little bit robbed was Anthony. Like, I think he had a case to be SEC Pitcher of the Year, so to not be on the first team, I thought that was a little light, but it also probably reflects the strength of our league. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. Like, I think it was actually like probably the most guys we've ever had on that since I've been the coach here, and deservedly so.
Yep. Coach, you talk about Cade and you talk about Anthony. We've talked about a lot about them on the show. Obviously, I think they're the best 1-2 punch in the country. They're both aces. I mean, Cade Anderson's a top 5 pick in the draft potentially this year. Ianson, honestly, has better numbers than Cade, which I think a lot of people wouldn't realize. But with those two guys, number 1 and number 2 in your rotation, obviously 2 aces, and the way the SEC tournament is now structured, right? You can kind of position this like a normal weekend series instead of having to play on like a Thursday and kind of the way it used to be, double elimination. Is that how you're approaching it, just like a normal weekend series, just so happen to be playing different teams?
Yeah, it's a little trickier because of the later start. And what I mean by is like not playing till Friday, and then you're playing the following Friday,
Right.
And in our case, that'll be here. So, how we do that and leave ourselves the flexibility to set that up is really the most important thing. Now, don't get me wrong, any competitive game that we play while I'm the coach here, we're going to win.
Yeah.
Like, there's no question about that. And I actually like this tournament a lot. You referenced that you do too. I think I like it even more this year, where we've actually going to have a chance to catch our breath a little bit between the finish of last week's series and this series. And we haven't had a whole lot of that, to be honest with you, throughout this season. It's been one haymaker after another. And our team, I thought, handled that very well. I mean, we went 10-5 in the first half and 9-6 in the second half, which I think is really good consistency. I think we were one of only 4 teams that won 7 or more series. So I feel good about that. But yeah, we still have some decision making to do with how we're going to handle that. We're leaving ourselves the flexibility with how we're setting the pitcher's schedule up to be able to do anything that we need to do. And there's certainly, I would love to play 3 games because obviously it means we're winning, and
right.
It's going to allow us to get everybody on the mound competitively, which is probably the most important thing. And then, I mean, the position players, they always want to play, so we're going to try to go in there, and we're obviously only going to play good teams because we're playing late in the tournament.
Coach, staying on the pitching staff, arguably one of your most talented pitchers in Chase Shores, right? He is. Talent is off the charts. He's obviously got off to a slow start. Over the last month, it feels the last 3 weeks, his last 4 appearances, feels like he's kind of turned that corner. He looks like the pitcher he looked like his freshman year before the injury. Do you attribute that to maybe just getting comfortable? Do you attribute that to was there something that kind of worked on that kind of clicked, or is it just a combination of everything? Because he's looked like a different guy his last 4 outings, and then going into the postseason, that's got to be a huge asset for y'all, knowing that you have this guy back to his form.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up first. I actually met with him today, and I kind of said something along the same lines of just really proud of how he's continued to develop through this thing. And I really believe in Chase, which is why he was positioned where he was, in the rotation. And then when we made a switch, he still was pitching in a big role, and you guys know how I feel about the bullpen. It's more important than the starter, in my opinion. Correct. It is, because they're going to tip the scales in the close games, and he's done that. I mean, he's thrown 4 times over the last 2 weekends, and it's been electric. And I think, to answer your question, I wouldn't take any credit for anything. I know Coach Yeski and Jamie have worked on some things hard with him, and I've seen some improvement. But I think it honestly was just the guy needed mound time. He hadn't really pitched for a year and a half, and we're asking him to go get the best lineups in the country out, and it's a challenge. I saw an ERA of a pitcher in our league that is projected to be a first-round pick. It's over
Right.
5.
Right.
I mean, I remember a couple years ago, Chase Dollander from Tennessee, who I think is already in the big leagues, like somebody was, kind of all over his numbers. And I was like, you don't get like what this 10 weeks is like. And then, pitching in a lot of small ballparks. So I think he's had a better season than maybe even the numbers reflect. But I'll tell you this, we weren't losing on his watch on either Thursday, Saturday last weekend. And I thought he was excellent against Arkansas the previous Sunday. And he was a big reason we won that Friday game. So really pleased with Chase. And I think he's just now coming into his own. And I really think he needed mound time.
Yep.
And, sometimes guys develop at different times. And, he's got a lot of tools in his arsenal. And it's good to see them coming out the way that they are and helping us win.
Coach, I can feel, we've had the privilege of interviewing you throughout the years. Me and Mikey were talking about it before the show a little bit. We've had you on, since the impetus almost. And I could feel a little bit more of it's turned up a little bit. Like, is this a different part of the season whenever you get to SEC tournament play, you start getting into, obviously, regional, super regional? Do you feel like you kind of turn it up a notch a little bit?
No, actually, if anything, as a coach, I think it's actually more important that, from my standpoint, that I'm even more even-keeled or relaxed in the dugout because, we're going to keep working, and I'm going to work to, positively influence the players and influence them in the game because that's my job. But at this point in time, a lot of the hay is in the barn. Mm-hmm. And we've put in the work and we've treated every game like a playoff game. So it's our time to go for it. And that's what we plan on doing. And, they've earned the right without a shadow of a doubt to play both rounds of the postseason should we advance here. And to do that in our league is pretty awesome. Yeah. It's not something that should be taken lightly. And, to be a top 8, national seed and get to play here, like they've earned that. And there's no question about that. So, you trust that. And, just like we'll always do, you guys asked me about the week, my job is to make sure all that's on the rails so we go into game time and we can just kind of do what we've done for 55 games.
Have you ever thought about wearing a catapult or a whoop during the game?
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Because it would be the highest. It's the in-game interview. That's the only time it would peak.
Yeah, luckily in the postseason, they get those things over with before the inning starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God forbid.
And look, there's mics everywhere now, Coach. You get the hot mics. The hot mics happen everywhere now.
Not cool. Yeah.
Hey! Everybody's been calling a hot mic. I've been calling a hot mic.
Coach, don't you admit that was you because nobody knows if it was or not. Innocent until proven guilty in this country. That's what I know.
I don't even know what you guys are talking
exactly.
about. So.
There we go.
Somebody in the stands said it. No doubt.
It was that woman.
Yeah. The K lady. Coach, offensively, there's been a lot of conversation over the last month. When's the offense going to step up? When's the offense going to step up? And we've been talking on this show. Hey, it's baseball. Obviously, you're going to go through some ups and downs. I think the credit to y'all is being able to win games different ways. So the offense maybe not clicking on all cylinders early on. Finding ways to win series, get to it until the offense gets back right. Felt like over the last week, 2 weeks, the offense is starting to find their groove. And then this weekend, Jared Jones has a big weekend. Dickinson has a big weekend. Curriell has a big weekend. Jake Brown has a big weekend. Historically, LSU teams from all the way from the skip gate days until now feels like they play their best baseball or they get hot at the end of the season. Your teams have been no different. It feels like they're doing it again, just like you did it last year and then the year before. Talk about I don't want to say the adjustments. Talk about these guys and how important it's been for them and how, I guess, good they're feeling going into the postseason.
Yeah, I think we've been working hard, in the midst of this. I think there's a few things you can point to. You mentioned the All-SEC team today. So the first team pitchers were Cade, Kyson Witherspoon, Liam Doyle, and Zach Root.
Yeah.
So not only did we face all those guys, we won all of those games. So we were undefeated against those teams. So I think on some instances it's not maybe as bad as it seems. Like, good pitching is designed to beat good hitting.
Right.
And so there's an element of that. I think there's an element of the mental side of the game, which we work incredibly hard on. Like, there just hasn't been a real breather game where you can catch your breath and go, oh, we should smash this guy.
Correct.
We haven't had a lot of those. And so I think the talent in the league is probably as good as it's ever been. And I just feel like this is baseball right now. Like, pitching development has exceeded hitting development a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's actually one of those things that's going to circle back around because of, the nature of hitting has always been hard. I think, we've remained positive. We've tried to take things that are really, really have substance to them. I want to say it was the week of Arkansas. We got the rain out game against Grambling. We just kind of gave them that day off, like a second day off in a row. And then Wednesday, we really went to work and kind of structured practice like we did today with small groups and really dove in to show them, hey, this is why we're really good when we do this. And we kind of recommitted ourselves to a couple small things. And like against Root, like, it didn't come right away, but Gabe Gackel's like one of the best relievers in the country, and Jimenez from Arkansas. And we came back and won that game against those guys, which is, arguably the best staff in the country. Then, we put up 13, hit a bunch of homers the next game. And then because we dominated that game, Arkansas still had some pitching left in the tank, and we lost 7-4, which is kind of a normal baseball game. And then this weekend, I actually thought we swung the bat really well. I mean, Friday we lost because of base running, which that hasn't happened in years, in the years that I've been here. And that wasn't an offense thing. I think we hit 13 balls 100 miles an hour or better on Thursday night, the game that we lost. And then we scored 8, and then we scored 7. And as you mentioned, we did it in different ways. We hit some homers. We had really good 2-out hitting on Saturday, executed a couple safety squeezes, ran the bases better, had a bunch of stolen bases this weekend. I think it's just not losing. I mean, and I love offense, man. Like, that's my spot. Like, at the end of the day, it's about, getting a guy in from third with less than 2 outs, or how we hit with 2 strikes, or getting the free bases tilted in our favor, executing the small game when it's there. So we take so much pride in it. It's just, and it's a challenge because you're just getting challenged in our league in a way that nobody else is in college baseball. Like, the signing bonuses of those 3 guys I just mentioned is going to exceed $20 million, and to hook them for 3 wins is pretty good. And so it's just about staying positive. Trust me, I mean, I get annoyed when we don't score the first time through the lineup. I get more annoyed than anybody, but it's just, you just got to keep with it. And I think this team has done that.
Coach, when you have teams that are extremely talented, extremely deep, everybody likes to talk about the top performers or the guys that, quote unquote, superstars, but you win national championships and, with guys who are kind of the unsung hero types. And Chris Stanfield has, and I don't think people realize this, but he leads your team in SEC average. He has a 326 average in SEC play. He's got 14 doubles in SEC play. He has, it sounds weird to some people who don't watch baseball, but he's kind of solidified that 9-hole and kind of giving you a second leadoff guy, and he's been brilliant this entire season. Talk a little bit about him and how important he's been for the lineup and for the team.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing up any player. I definitely appreciate you bringing up Chris. That was another one that, he didn't have maybe a great season at Auburn. Those old evaluations of like, hey, I just like this. I like how this guy plays, and I think we can help him. And I love how he plays now that he's on my team. And he has gotten a lot better. Yeah. And we've won some games because of Chris. And it'll fly under the radar maybe because he hits 9th, whether it's been diving catches, his ability to score on a play that nobody else on the team can score because of his, speed. I want to say he had a 4-hit game against Alabama, the game we won 4-3. And, he created 3 of the 4 runs. He was great this weekend. I was proud of him. He walked 3 times on Saturday and turned the lineup over, and we scored 8 runs. And then on Sunday, he had an at-bat that wasn't maybe his best at-bat, and then he gets up the next time and drills a single when we really need it, causes a disruption play on the bases, gets to second, and I think Derek drove him in for a huge add-on run. And, which was great because – we actually talked before the 7th inning about like, hey, in this time of year, like the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, like that's going to be our time. So let's get this going like right now. And I liked how we scored 1 in every inning, and the bullpen came and did its job, and that's how you win those high leverage games. So it was good.
Yeah, you've done a great job of evaluating talent on teams that you've played against, whether it be Broswell and now Stanfield, guys that are in the SEC that come to your program. But you did mention one thing that I think is interesting because I've listened to your post game a little bit earlier today, and you said like the first time through the lineup you'd like to be able to score, but you said it's the second time through the lineup when you guys are able to get through and see the same picture again. How much has that impacted like what your approach is in terms of how you evaluate a baseball game from your seat or from your, I guess your stoop on the dugout whenever you're trying to watch and be like, give yourself some time, give the team some time before you start trying to do your chess piece moves?
It depends. I think a little bit differently than just traditional baseball in a lot of ways, like how we use our challenges. How does it affect runs? How does it affect pitch count? Like the other day, like I wasn't even sure we got the guy at third base, but my thought process was, okay, if we did get him, not only are we out of this inning with 0 runs, but that's going to save Anthony like even 3 to 10 pitches with runner in scoring position, which could allow him to get deeper into the game. So even if it was a close one, like I would challenge that one, because if it goes right, it's good. And there was a couple this weekend, based on, how they chose to do their pitching, were we going to make a move even the second time through the order? And we have some guys sitting there, that can really impact the game. And so you have to just weigh those out. It was a bummer that we lost Thursday because I thought we put Brown in at the perfect time and he got a huge hit that opened up a 2-run inning, and then we ended up giving it back. But like, you just have to do it when it can impact the game the most. And it's worked out really good this year, and all the credit to those guys on the bench, to be ready, whether it was that case, Jake, and I mean, he plays a lot, but he's always been ready. Larson had a big homer, against Alabama. Dalton Beck, obviously the huge hit against Tennessee. John Pearson always gives us a good at bat. Aaron Beatty to come in to catch, after one of those things and lock it down. So it's nice to have the depth. It's just trying to use it when they can be successful.
Coach,
nobody will listen to question your moves, Coach.
What?
What's that?
Said nobody will listen to question what you do, Coach. That's all I've got to say. You know what you got. You know what you recruited. I trust you.
No, that's all right. Yeah, like, hey, I'm not worried about that. We're just having a baseball conversation.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
It. Coach, you've relied on freshmen in the past. You relied on a lot of freshmen. They've been in a lot of key roles. Obviously, over time they get develop. They develop, and towards the end of the year, they're not really freshmen anymore. Cooper Williams has really kind of started to emerge as the season has gone on. It feels like he's your first lefty out of the pen in some big situations, and he's executed really well over the last month. Talk about his development a little bit and how I know you obviously recruited him and you knew that he had it because you put him in there early on in the season. But how impressive has his development has gotten throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, I'm very high on him. And we have talent across the roster. Like, there's no question about that. But the mindset or mental game or maturity is the separator, whether that player can go in and execute their job in a way that's going to tip the scales towards us winning. And again, just like we kind of talked about with Chase Shore, sometimes you just need time to do that. And I feel like Cooper, Maverick Rizzi, William Schmidt, I mean, Kaysen has kind of been at the forefront of this thing from the start. Like, these guys are just going to keep getting better. And, there's some guys on the position player side. Like, I mean, Aaron Beatty has been huge, in this second half of the season. And obviously he's going to play a huge role in where we're headed as a program going forward. So that's been great. but it's just maturity. And, this is just not a straight arrow to the top in baseball, as you know. And so no matter how talented that you are, and I explained this, I just had a freshman in my office who hasn't played a lot in the simulated game today, and he's smashing balls in the gap and looks like a real hitter. And it's just like, hey, you haven't got a ton of opportunities, but I can see the work and I can see the improvement. Just keep going with this thing. You know what I mean? Just keep going. And, he's high makeup, high character kid. He will do that. So it's just, in Cooper's case, it's left-handed. We needed left-handed. It's 3 pitches for strikes. He just needed to continue to get a little more physical, which he has. He needed some innings under his belt at this level. And I'll tell you, the pitch I was the most proud of is we reviewed the hit by pitch, which wasn't a hit by pitch, which sent the hitter back to the box, but it sent him back to the box in a 3-2 count. And he had just stood on the mound for 5 minutes, and it just dotted a changeup right down the middle. And the guy froze, and that was huge. That was a huge out.
Great challenge.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Hey, you've been nails on your challenges. You've been really good with them. And
thank you. I appreciate that. And again, I don't want to get into it because there's some strategy. Obviously, we want the calls overturned or turned in our favor. That's number one. But we'll use them. I want to say Stanfield hit a ball at Texas A&M. It was close. Matter of fact, on the replay, it actually looked fair.
Right.
But they didn't overturn it. But it's okay, even if I'm wrong, but that might give us 3 runs if we're right. And so it's worth rolling the dice. And I mean, it's like a basketball coach with timeouts. Why would you take your timeouts into the locker room if you can turn a call in your favor?
Correct.
Next thing's balls and strikes, because that got me in trouble.
God.
I mean, that's we actually had a conversation about this. Can't have the balls and strikes every ball, but I think there should be they did the spring training thing where the hitter and the pitcher or the batter and the hitter can challenge it. I think each team should get 3 challenges. They should use that system, and they should get 3 challenges. And honestly, I believe it should come from the hitter or the pitcher. Now,
well, you're taking the power out of this.
But I think that you get 3 of them, and it teaches them strategy, and I think it takes. I don't know. I like that. I
would like Jay to come out. Jay to come out the dugout with a couple of these.
Do y'all get to watch the replay before you challenge, or you have to challenge before you see a replay? There's no monitor in the.
There's none of that.
Yeah.
I think what I've learned is how convicted is the player.
Yeah.
And you can tell the difference in their body language, and literally there's no hesitation when they know that they're right.
Right.
And then again there's an element to it. It's just okay, how could this affect the game? And sometimes, if we've had a quick inning or it's going to be an out,
yep,
and our pitcher has barely sat down, sometimes I'll challenge just to have 2.5 minutes run off the clock so they can sit there and drink Gatorade.
Yeah,
before they're back out there.
Right.
So.
It's the Bill Belichick in him. This is the old football Jay coming out.
This is good. Yeah, I mean, there's rhyme and reason to everything, Coach. We appreciate your time, as always. I know it's been a couple weeks. It's always a treat when you come on the show. Obviously, we're going to be watching you this weekend. Jared's going to be out there working. He's actually in Hoover right now. That's why he's not on our show. You don't get to see his pretty face today, but you'll see him out there in Hoover. I'm sure he'll interview you, hopefully, after a couple wins. But we'll be watching. We appreciate you. Good luck, and we'll talk to you again next week before you host the regional.
Sounds great. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too, Coach.
Thanks,
see you.
sir.
Have a good night.
Yep.